fabulous idea. We are so happy to have you all here at this Ask the Experts, where we're going to be going over policy and compliance and audit. And the last couple of store releases that we've had has been chock full of amazing new enhancements. We've got Anushree Randad here, who is going to be walking through us, the product manager. And again, a huge celebration for all the new enhancements. There's not just policy and compliance. We've got risk, we've got vendor, and I want to walk you through the series that we've put together that actually talks about some of these new enhancements. So if you haven't seen our business continuity management or our continuous authorization and monitoring Ask the Expert sessions, they are out on the Ask the Expert playlist, and I highly recommend that you take a look at those. The business continuity one has the brand new user interface that we're going to be adding to the other applications in our portfolio, so you get kind of a sneak peek of that. Just last week, we talked about the advanced risk assessments information, which is enhancements which are incredible around application and project risk. Today, Anushree is with us to talk about our policy and compliance and audit applications. So just an idea of what you're going to be seeing. You're going to be seeing the integration that we have between PPM and audit, issue triage, evidence collection enhancements, predictive intelligence for issues. So everyone talks about AI and ML and when are we going to get smarter? Well, this is a way for us to get smarter around issues management. And then we have our control accelerators for CIS also, which Anushree might get into, or she may just talk to for right now. Next week, we've got our November 19th Ask the Expert session around vendor risk management, which we're really excited to hear about. We've had tons of new enhancements for vendor risk, but this particular one is going to be talking about external monitoring frameworks, where we're able to bring in information other than the bit site or security scorecard, security rating provider information that we're currently bringing in. Being able to bring in a lot more information to give you an idea of overall health and security of your vendors. And then, not to be forgotten, we have our next store release in a week, and that store release is going to be coming out with 2 new applications, which we're going to be talking about in December: regulatory change management and operational resilience. So really exciting stuff. Just a ton of things in the last couple of months and then into December that we really hope that you're able to join us for. And as Lisa said, she's going to be putting the links into the chat. So please mark your calendars. And without any further ado, I would love to turn it over to Anushree to be able to actually show you all what's happening in policy and compliance and audit. Please feel free to ask your questions in chat and in Q&A. And she is going to get started right now. Hi, Anushree.
Hello. Hi, everyone. This is Anushree, and I'm the Principal Product Manager in our Risk Business Unit at ServiceNow. And I will be taking you through our new enhancements on the policy compliance and audit. And we have a bunch of them. So I'm very excited today to show you what we've added in our October store release. So these are different topics that I'm going to take you through today. Teresa already mentioned about issue triage, workflow, intelligent issue management. We also did some enhancement on the policy versioning, the new CIS and technology controls monitoring accelerator, and then the new audit planning capability, which also includes evidence request workflow and audit observations. So let's start off with our issue triage workflow. Basically, it is the issue management is very critical to every organization, and it is very important to have a process which will quickly resolve the issues which are high risk to your organization. Now, issue triage workflow helps you triage those issues and helps you in eliminating any noise or any duplicate issues that you might have, and just focusing on most critical issues which might expose your organization to the greatest risk. So our issue triage workflow or process lets end users report the issues, which we are calling it as self-identified issues, or if there are any system-generated issues that are automated, such as indicator failure or attestation. All of these issues will go through the triage process, and at the end of the triage process, the result would be either identifying an actual issue, or it could be a risk event as well, which you're identifying, or it could simply be noise, so you would want to just close it out. With that, I am going to quickly show you how our issue triage workflow looks like. So this is the end user portal that you can see here, and I've logged in as Benjamin here. And I can go to the menu item, My Issues. And when I go there, I see the list of issues that I have reported. So let's go ahead and report another issue here. And if you notice, the the report issue screen shows up all the details that are required for me to log my issue. So I can talk about what kind of issue it is. So let's go ahead and say, okay, this is a data center access issue. I'm just going to copy over this. And this is something maybe I discovered last week. So I'm going to enter that date. And then the issue is, again, as I said, it is related to data center. So I'm going to go ahead and select New York data center here. I have different issue types here, if you notice. So you can create issue related to control operative effectiveness failure, design effectiveness failure. If there is a control that does not meet requirement or does not exist, you can also report an issue for that. You can report an issue for incident or loss event. So if there is a risk event in your organization, you can also report it from here. Or any non-compliance to regulation, policy, any suggestion or improvement to the existing policy or process or recommendation for a new policy. So if you notice, this is a one-stop form where you can report any kind of compliance as well as risk issues. I'm going to go ahead and select this particular issue here and select a control that is related to this issue. So I'm going to go ahead and select control physical access to the facility. And I might, if I have information, then I can enter what actions I have taken so far, what according to me is a root cause, and I can go ahead and submit this issue. Let's go ahead and submit this issue right now. Once the issue is submitted, it is sent to the triage team. Now, based on the type of issues, we have an intelligent issue grouping, assignment rule, which will send out the different types of issues to different teams for triaging. So if it's a compliance issue, it will be routed to the compliance team. If it's a risk issue, it will be routed to the risk team. If the root cause or the origin of the issue is unknown, it will go to a centralized triage team as well. So we have introduced a new group and a new role, which you can assign it out to your triage team and manage these issues. Now, these rules are completely configurable, so you can configure them accordingly. I'm going to go ahead and refresh this page, and I can see that there is a data center access issue that was created. Let me open up this issue. Now, this issue, as I said, is sent to the compliance team. I'm going to go ahead and select the triage owner here. In this case, I'm selecting Cindy. And if you notice, all the information that was selected by the end user is populated here. So I can see the issue type, I can see the classification, which is compliance, and the triage group and triage owner. I can see the short description, and all the information here. So the control, related control objective, and an entity, and date of discovery as well. Now, this issue goes through the whole workflow where a triage team will analyze this issue. And then once it's analyzed, they can either send it for a compliance manager for review or someone else for review, or they can maybe directly complete the issue triage and convert this particular issue into an actual issue or just close it out. So here I have a drop down for different kinds of results. So I can say this is confirmed as a new compliance issue, or I could just simply say that no actions are required since this does not seem like an issue and close it out. In this case, I'm going to select a new compliance issue. You can also associate this issue triage to an existing issue that might be open. So there is an option to do that as well. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and confirm this as a new compliance issue. When I do that, And I can move it to analyze state, where I'm saying I'm analyzing and confirming this issue as a triage, as a new compliance issue. And then I can see a couple of options here. So I can request information from the person who reported this issue. If I want any information from that person, I can write comments and send it across to him. And the end users then can enter their comments. I can send it for review, as I mentioned, by selecting a reviewer, or I can simply complete the triage if I have all the information. In this case, I'm just going to go ahead and simply complete the triage. If you notice, I have few fields here. So I have when an issue is confirmed as a new compliance issue, I have an issue manager group and issue manager. I also have the assignment group in assign to. So now in this case, assignment group and assign to are the users who will be owning the actual issue and resolving it. Issue manager and issue manager group are the two new, the one new user field we introduced on the issue. And issue manager is responsible for making sure that the issue is resolved. If it comes back for review, they are the one reviewing it and closing it out. In this case, I am going to go ahead and not select any of that and go ahead and complete triage. When I complete the triage and I don't select a issue manager, it is going to populate the triage owner himself or herself as issue manager here, because they're the one who have analyzed. So I can go ahead and complete my triage. Once I complete the triage, it is going to create an actual issue, which is a GRC issue that we have today in our system. And it's going to add the link here. So let me go ahead and open up this issue and see how that looks like. So when you open up the actual issue, you can see that all the information from issue triage is populated into this issue. So you can see the issue type, who's the issue manager. My assignment group and assign to are still empty because I had not chosen anything. In here, I can see the details around the control, what the issue is for, the entity and control objective. And if you notice, I also have a related list for issue triage. So I can actually see the related issue triage on this issue and refer back to the analysis that the triage team has done. So this is my issue, and then it goes through the normal workflow around analyzing and responding. So you can choose the assign to a issue owner here and then send it across to them for response. But when it comes back to review, issue manager is the one who's reviewing the issue and closing it out. So I'm not going to go through this workflow because this is already existing workflow. I just wanted to show another example of issue, which is actually of type risk event or incident or loss event. In this case, the issue type is the incident or loss event, and the result has been confirmed as a risk event. And when that happens, you can actually convert this issue triage into a risk event as well. So that's the example of the issue triage getting converted into risk event. All right, so with that, I am going to move forward. Let me know if you have questions.
Let me ask you a question really quick. We've got a question that came in. Do all issues need to go through the issue triage, or is this just for self-identified issues?
So currently it is for self-identified issues, but in future we will be including all the automated issues as well. Again, this is completely an optional step. So we just introduce it. So if you're still catching up to it, and if you don't have the process in place, you can still go ahead and create the actual issues directly instead of going through the triage. But this is mainly for the self-identified issues currently.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, so people don't have to use it. They can still follow the current process, but this is another optional way for them to ensure that they haven't got a ton of issues that are identified or assigned to different people. Perfect.
Awesome. So I'm going to move on to the next feature, which is intelligent issue management using AI/ML. So we just went through the issue triage process, and we saw that there are tons of issue coming in. The triage team is working on them and converting into the issue. So how do we make our issues more intelligent so that the resolution of the issue is faster? Now, what I have here is just a workflow which will provide you some insight into what we are looking at when it comes to making the issues management more smarter. So when the employees report any issue or there are automated failures, there are issues that are getting created. What we are doing is we are using the AI/ML capabilities that platform provide to auto assign those issues to appropriate issue owners. That was already released in our June store release. What we are adding in October is a capability to group similar issues automatically based on their similarity. So that is one enhancement that we are adding, which will help you reduce your time in understanding what are the similar issues that you can resolve together, group and resolve together. The second thing that we are enhancing is we are predicting what are the remediation tasks that can apply to this issue. So if there's any already existing remediation task for a similar issue in the past, you can actually reuse that remediation action or task and assign it out to the existing issue, which will also help the users reduce time in recreating the remediation if it was already done before. So, and once the remediation tasks are created, they are assigned out and then issues are closed out. So three things that or three key outcomes that we are actually getting out of this is faster remediation of the issues, optimization of the resources, and improvement in employee experience. With that, I will be going through the two use cases that I just discussed. One is the issue grouping and one is the remediation, and the second one is the remediation task suggestion. So with that, I am going to quickly go to my instance and show you how that looks like. All right. So I have an example of issue here, which is SAP financial accounting issue, which has a control test failure. Now, if you notice, there is a parent issue field here, which helps you to group similar issues together. And if a certain issue has a parent, that means this particular issue has been grouped into more of a parent issue. In this case, I see this bulb icon next to my parent issue, which is basically providing you suggestion around the grouping of the issues. So I have two options here. You can group existing issue with other issues that might be similar, but they have not been grouped before, which we are calling it as standalone issues. Or you have an option to group existing issue with already grouped issue, which could, with the other issues, all of these have been grouped in certain some other groups or parents. So this is also telling me that if you select this particular issue, it's going to group existing issue into this issue group. And it shows me the confidence score as well. So you know how close or similar this particular issue is with the issue that is being grouped. I'm going to go ahead and choose some standalone issues here. So I'm going to choose these two issues and I'm going to group them along with the existing current issue that you see in the background. So once you do that, this is existing grouping UI that is available. So it helps you to create a new group. So I'm going to say SAP failure and I can assign it to someone or I can simply go ahead and create a group. Once I create a group, then this is the new issue group that is created. And under this group, you will now see there are 3 issues that will be grouped. So let me reload again. And it's going to show me the existing or the current issue that I've selected and the 2 other issues. So this is helping me group similar issues together. The other example of that was issue grouping, and the other example is suggesting remediation tasks. So in this case, I see under remediation tasks, I see a new button called a suggested remediation task. So when I click on that, it is going to give me a list of remediation tasks that might exist on similar issues with this current issue. So I can see list of issues with the confidence score. So I know which one is closest to or could be applied to my issue. So let me look at this issues with networking. I can go ahead and copy this issue, or if you want to see more details, you can also click on this I button here and you can look at the details of this issue. Let me go ahead and copy the second issue, request for a new service. Once I copy this remediation task, it is going to create a clone of that remediation task. This is a new remediation task that got created, and it copied over all the fields from that remediation task that you chose. So I can see that the short description has been copied, the priority has been copied. If there is a description that will be copied as well. Along with that, it also copies the task schedule. So you know how, so it basically provides you a guideline around how many days did it take for the earlier remediation task to be completed. You can either choose to have the same number of days, or you can choose another number here as well. And then you can go ahead and submit this remediation task. Once you save and submit the remediation task, you can see that particular remediation task being added to your issue. So these are the two examples of making your issue smarter. Let me know if you have any questions.
Yeah, so there is a question. So, does it capture other related issues when using a resolution from a previous issue? So I think this is, part of the whole issue remediation grouping.
Yeah, so it's going to capture all the other similar issues. So there's a machine learning algorithm we have in the background. It looks for the various criteria. It looks for the short description, priority, and tries to find the closest match to existing issue or even the previous issue which has been grouped already. Does that answer the question?
I think so, yeah. So basically, it is grouping you are capturing the related issues when you're selecting a resolution. So that one resolution could apply to other issues that it has identified for you.
Okay.
So yeah, I think it's great. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so if there are no other questions, then I am going to move forward.
Absolutely move forward.
All right. Awesome. All right. So the next one is policy versioning. So what we did in the policy versioning, and I'm going to just take you through the screenshots here because this will explain you what we are doing here. So previously in the policy management, when a policy was created, and every time the policy was published, it would create a new KB article with a completely new number. And it would not, it did not support the KB article versioning before. What we are doing with this change is we are supporting the KB article versioning. So every time a policy is reviewed and published, instead of creating a new KB article number, it will create a new KB article version. So in this case, you can see the KB article has a new version of version 2, and it will also keep the history of all the different versions here. So in that case, the permalink or the URL for this particular KB article remains the same, but it just creates a new version of the KB article. So the customers who are facing the issues with having completely different links every time our policy is published will be resolved with this particular enhancement. Let me know if you have any questions.
Right. Actually, I think we've got one from back on the issue, smart issue management. What happens to the existing remediation plans if we group standalone issues?
So the existing remediation plans remain the same. So when you're grouping the standalone issues together, they are grouped into the parent issue, but the existing remediation tasks are still associated with those individual issues. So you might want to resolve them, and then you can close out the group. But if you don't have any existing remediation tasks, you can simply create new remediation for that grouped issue, resolve that at once, and close out all the issues. So we are not closing out or doing any automation around it. You will still have your remediation tasks that are already existing.
Awesome. Yeah, people are liking the smart issue management and the policy versioning and stuff.
Awesome.
All right, I think you can move on to the next subject.
Okay. So the next subject is the couple of accelerators that we introduced in October release. One is the CIS controls monitoring accelerator, and the second one is technology controls monitoring accelerator. Both these accelerator go together, and I will explain you how. So CIS controls monitoring, with this accelerator, we are providing the cybersecurity controls, which are adopted from our CIS, from the Center of Internet Security security website, or the source. And what we are doing here is we are providing content coming from the Center of Internet Security directly around the controls and also the authority documents. And with the help of indicator templates that we are providing in our technology controls monitoring accelerator, you would be able to monitor these controls, automate some of the control monitoring with the help of indicator templates. Now, this CIS controls monitoring accelerator contains the CIS controls version 7.1 authority document with 191 citations and 191 control objectives. We also have some pre-configured indicator templates, like I said, and out of the 191, today we have 26, which are automated indicator templates, but we have a roadmap, or we actually are in process of automating more indicator templates, which we might be able to release in upcoming March release. So this basically helps customers adopt the cybersecurity best practices and also automate the controls by continuous monitoring them with the help of these indicator templates. Now, the technology controls monitoring accelerator provides you the content for these pre-mapped indicator templates. What we have is we have the indicator templates for those monitoring those 191 CIS controls. And along with that, we also have some indicator templates for monitoring other technology controls, such as coming from ISO 27002. We have 36 basic indicator templates to automate the ISO controls, as well as some additional ones with total of around more than 250 indicator templates. So I'll go through that in a bit. And we also have some indicator templates suggested for you, which you can actually use to monitor if you have content downloaded from UCF, for example. If you don't have ISO 27000, if you already have ISO 27002 content from UCF, you would be able to monitor those controls with the help of our indicator templates, which we will be suggesting. So I can maybe show that to you, which will make it more clear. So
really quick, Anushree, I think there's kind of a basic question, what is the difference? Can you explain the difference between an application and an accelerator?
So the accelerator that we have, both of them are accelerators. What we have, when we say accelerator, it is going to provide you content, and it will basically accelerate your process in adopting a certain framework or a regulation. In this case, it's a CIS controls that we are providing you content around, and the technology indicators will help you monitor these controls. So it's purely content, and it's not application or a process that we are providing through it.
Yeah, I think one of the ways I think about it is that accelerators are really designed for a very specific framework.
Right.
And they provide that content and the controls and the indicator templates that are very specific for that particular framework, whereas an application is generally something you can use to address a variety of use cases, not just one. Is typically the way I think about it, but yeah. Perfect.
Absolutely. All right. So here are some of the examples that I have from CIS Controls Accelerator, where what we are trying to do here is we have a list of controls here, which map to which we are making use of the indicator templates to automate these controls by integrating or pulling in data from our own ITX products, such as discovery, software asset management, or I also have some controls pulling in data from vulnerability response product from SecOps business unit, or CMDB, even the security incident response. So you can actually see all these indicator templates will help you monitor these control by actually fetching data from the other ServiceNow applications. So if you have these applications installed and if you want to monitor these controls, the indicator templates will help you automate them. So with that, I am going to show you how that looks like in the instance. So here I have an example of technology controls monitoring. So when you install the CIS controls and technology controls monitoring applications or accelerators, it will install this new application menu, and it will install the CIS control module with the content for CIS version 7.1 authority document, which will have all the 191 citations under that. And each citation is associated with a control objective. That's why you can see 191 control objectives as well. So these are a list of 191 citations that we have and list of control objectives. And each of the control objective will be associated with the indicator template. So I have around 171 indicator templates to automate those controls. So you can see some of them are basic versus some of them are manual. Basic are the ones which we are trying to automate. The manual are more manual indicator templates, which will help you monitor these controls and create indicator tasks to manually ask evidence for those controls, which we are in process of automating more. Now, I want to provide an example of one of the indicator template here. So this is the indicator template. This is the indicator template, which is basically is described as utilize a risk-rated process for vulnerabilities, which is associated with two different control objectives. Now, this is another change we made on the indicator template itself. Today, the indicator templates are associated with only one control objective or risk statement. Now we can associate them with multiple control objectives or risk statements. So you can actually share a single template between different control objectives. So if you have a common control, you can actually make use of one template to monitor those control objectives. The other example that I was showing, I was talking about is if you have the UCF control objective installed, in this case, this is one of the UCF control objective that is associated with my CIS control as well as ISO 27001 controls authority document. In this case, I have this indicator templates related list here. And if you notice, I have the new button called as suggested. So if I don't want to install the CIS content that we are providing through our CIS controls accelerator, you can still continue using your UCF content if you have downloaded that. But we are providing you the suggested button. If you click on that, it's going to actually list down the indicator templates that we are providing as part of our technology controls accelerator. So you can you don't have to use the content related to control objectives, but you can still use the indicator templates to automate these controls. So I can go ahead and associate these indicator templates with my control objective. And it is telling me that this particular indicator template is also associated with other UCF IDs as well. So you can actually get the sense of that. So I can add and it gets associated with the control objective, which is coming from UCF. So you can make use of these indicator templates to monitor this control objective. The other enhancement that we did on the indicator itself is we added a way for you to calculate the threshold for that indicator. So today, indicators are simply passed or failed based on a certain condition under supported data. What we've added is a way for you to also define whether you want the indicator to pass or fail based on certain percentage or based on certain count. So only if that percentage of the evidence is returned or that count of evidence is returned, this indicator will pass. Now, how that works is when you select the percentage here, on the supporting data, we have this additional criteria. So my criteria and additional criteria works as the denominator and numerator. So this is the formula that you have to calculate the percentage. So it's looking at, in this case, it's in integrate software and hardware asset inventory, where I'm looking at all the assets which are not empty, which is basically my total number of records. And then I have out of all those records, I am looking for the most recent discovery in the last week. So it is going to be the number of records that I have, and I'm going to multiply it with 100 and calculate that percentage. Once that percentage is calculated, then it is going to compare it against the target value and provide me whether the result, which is either passed or failed based on the passing criteria that you've selected here. I hope this is not too complicated, but once you get a hang of it and you run it, you'll understand how this works.
So we have a question. Will those control objectives and indicators be continuously improved both in quantity and quality? So I guess we're talking about updates to this accelerator.
Yes, we are already making some updates to the accelerator for March. So we are already reviewing all our indicators again and trying to automate the ones that are manual. There might be some scripted indicators to automate them. So we'll continue adding enhancements, or if there are new controls that are part of the framework, we'll update the accelerators.
Perfect.
All right. Any other question?
We actually have a question back on the intelligent issues. Are there plans to bring in the remediation tasks to the grouped issue?
So we already have a way for you to associate remediation tasks to the grouped issue already, because the concept is right now the grouped issue or a parent issue is an issue itself. So it still has the remediation task related list. So if you want to create remediation task for that grouped issue, you can create it today.
Awesome, thank you. We don't have any more questions on, well, actually, wait, we got one more question popped up, let me see. Will hover hints be added to the indicator template calculation fields? I guess the whole calculation thing is maybe a little bit confusing.
Sorry, can you repeat that question again?
Will hover hints, so when you hover over the indicator template calculation field,
yes,
will that be added to the calculation field?
Yes, so we already have some tools and tips, because I know this is a little complicated, confusing to understand at first, but we do have hints and tool tips on each of the fields. We've added the info message on top to explain how the calculation works. So if you hover over any of these fields, it's going to give you more details around how that field works. And we also have documentation around it, so it will help you as well.
Okay, well, we'll see if that's enough. So if you have more questions on that, please go ahead and send those in, and we'll see if we can, if we didn't answer the question already, we'll see if we can answer it. But if that's so far, I think the end of the questions.
Awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next topic, which is audit. So we've done a bunch of enhancement to our audit application, especially around audit planning. And I would be happy to take you through that today. So I'm going to talk about two personas here. One is the audit director, who is responsible for creation of the audit plans, who's the one who, he's the one or she's the one doing the annual audit planning. They are managing the audit universe, doing the risk assessment on the auditable units, and then using the risk-rated auditable units for scoping purpose, and then finally assigning the budgets to the engagements and approving the audit plans, or requesting approval for the audit plans. Audit managers or the audit lead, which is commonly the user persona that we are looking at, they're the one who are owning the engagements. So they will be the ones which will be managing the end-to-end engagement, starting with scoping the engagement or planning resources and budget for the engagement, based on, of course, what audit director provides the budget for, and then tracking different milestones, doing the detailed resource and cost planning, and also performing the field work requesting evidence from the control owners or first line, and then following up on the observations and issues. So I'm going to take you through the user journey here, which starts with what exactly I said, with the audit director creating annual plans and requesting approval for the annual plans. Then they're the one who are doing the risk-based scoping of the auditable units. And then with the help with interacting with the audit managers or audit lead, they are working on the providing budgets for the engagement and making sure that the audit leads are doing their resource and cost planning accordingly. And then finally, we transition into more engagement management, where audit leads are taking through working or defining different milestones and collecting evidence from the end users, and then closing out the issues and observations. So these are the 5 capabilities, basically, or 6 capabilities that we've added in our audit application in October. One is managing and creation of the audit universe and managing those auditable units. Creation of the annual plan or any other type of audit plan. Doing more detail as well as basic cost and resource planning. Tracking the milestones for your engagement, collecting evidence from end users or first line, and then finally working on the observation and closing out the reportable issues. Any questions so far before I get into more details? All right.
Yeah, I have to get I have to get off of mute. Actually, yes. For internal audit, we conduct risk assessments. Should we use risk assessments under risk management, or should we use risk assessments under audit management?
Yeah, so that's a great question, and I'll be talking through that when we come to auditable units. But we have a capability to do both. So you could do a simple assessment on the auditable units, or you could actually use enhanced our advanced risk assessments for performing risk assessments for those auditable units. So you have option to do both.
Awesome.
So with that, I am going to dig into Audit Universe and how you can manage and track your auditable units and also assess those auditable units. So I'm going to close this out. All right. So I have example of Audit Universe here. So you can actually see that there are auditable units that you can manage. And I'm going to take an example of accounts payable auditable unit here. So as an audit manager or audit director, you can manage the auditable units here, which is a combination of different things. So which is a combination of your business units, department, vendors, business processes, application, products, location, or you can add more as well. In this case, I have accounts payable finance auditable unit. So I've selected the business unit as finance, the business processes accounts payable, location is US, and vendor is ServiceNow. And here you can add more information to enrich your auditable unit, and you can perform the risk assessment on those auditable units on a regular basis. So you can do basic risk assessment where you can choose the risk rating that apply to the auditable unit, which does not require any risk assessment from the risk application. But if you want to perform more detailed risk assessment, then you can use the advanced risk assessment capability that we have from the risk module and perform this risk assessment. I have an example of the risk assessment here. So if you are going with a detailed risk assessment and assess the risk for the auditable unit, it is going to create a risk assessment for you based on the risk assessment methodology that you might have configured. We are providing an out-of-the-box risk assessment methodology, which is simple enough. So you can perform your inherent risk assessment here based on, say, impact and likelihood. And these factors are completely configurable. This is the advanced risk assessment capability which we provide, which is completely configurable. And then you can perform your control assessment. Again, in this case, I have 2 factors, design effectiveness and operating effectiveness, but you can completely configure and make it automated as well. And as a result of inherent assessment and control assessment, this calculates the residual assessment. and calculates the score, which then gets populated on your auditable unit. So now this risk rating is used later for scoping your auditable units into your engagement. And the way you would do that is when you go to your engagement, you usually when you go to entities, you scope your entities into your engagement. Now, along with all the entities, you can also see the auditable units that are associated that have associated risk rating, which will help you scope these auditable units into your engagement based on the risk rating. So you can go ahead and scope these auditable units into your engagement as well. Any question on the auditable units?
No, not at this time.
All right, so I'm going to move forward. So the next one is annual audit planning. As part of the annual audit planning, we have capability to build and track audit plans, set up audit engagements and include them into audit plan. You can have multiple engagements associated with the plan. We already looked at how you can scope auditable units into your engagements. And then you can optionally create detailed resource and cost plan and then route the plan, the audit plan for approval. So I am going to show you quickly how that looks like. So I have a list of audit plans here on the left navigation. If I look for audit, you can see a new menu item here for managing your audit plans. These are the list of audit plans that I have here. And under each audit plan, you can see list of engagements as well. This number shows you how many engagements you have under each audit plan. I have an example of new audit plan here. So when you create a new audit plan, you have the whole workflow around the audit plan, starting with drafting your audit plan, sending it for approval, and then closing it out. Now on the audit plan, you can assign or select a specific time frame. You can perform or build an annual audit plan, semi-annual or quarterly. If you're like looking to also do the SOX controls testing, you can actually use the same plan for doing that. Based on the annual, that in this case I've chosen the annual time frame. I can, if I choose a start date as today, for example, it's going to populate the end date for me. I can also choose specific dates if I don't want based on specific time frame. So I can go ahead and do that as well. Now, on the right-hand side, you can see different types of audit plans. So I have internal audit, external audit, SOX testing plan, and other plans. So you can actually add more plans here as well. And then you have capability to plan your audit using more basic planning capabilities or advanced planning capabilities. When we say basic planning capabilities, what we mean by that is you can still do your planning based on basically assigning, say, budget and expenses in more manual fashion than using more detailed planning. When we talk about detailed planning, what we are doing is we are integrating with our project portfolio management product from ITBM, which will allow you to perform your cost and resource planning in more detailed way using projects planning capability. You can also track time cards, which is coming out in March, not in this release, but you can do other project management, perform other project management tasks as well. That is with the help of advanced planning capability. But if you're not mature or if you don't want to probably perform your detailed resource and cost planning, you can still continue doing it in more basic way. Here I have an example of cyber security audit, which is where I've selected plan as more advanced planning. And I have objectives that I've assigned to this plan, I have description, and I've assigned some budget to the plan. So I've given 15,000 budget to the plan and also 1,000 hours of resources to this plan, which means that I am now going to distribute this particular budget across the engagements under this plan. So you can assign or add more engagements to the plan. And if you notice, you can actually be providing the flexibility for you to add more engagements or remove the engagements from the approved plan as well. Of course, we are going to notify the users if that happens so that they know that something has been added or removed after the plan is approved. Once all the information is added, all the engagements are added on a plan, the plan can then, as a owner of the plan, you can send it for approval. And once the plan is approved, the audit leads, those basically are the engagement leads who will be notified that the plan has been approved, and you can now start working on your engagement. Any questions so far?
So we have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
Have you seen a case where the audit management app is used by the second line of defense, so the compliance team, in addition to the internal audit team and the external auditors or regulatory inspectors?
Yeah, absolutely. So historically, our older audit module was heavily used by second line of defense for doing the control testing. With the addition of planning capabilities that we've added, we are providing that dimension of internal audit to it. But the same plan can also be used for more control testing from the second line point of view. For example, if you're managing your SOX control testing plan, you can still use this for that purpose. So you can leverage this both for more internal type of audit, internal audit, or you could use it for the second line control testing as well.
And then we have a few questions around when things are available and what packages they're in. So basically everything that you're seeing here, everybody on the phone, on Zoom, is available as of October. Anushree called out a couple things like the time cards that we're looking at March for, yes. But everything that she's showing you is actually available now. There are a couple of different applications that support that. So, for example, the Smart Issue Management is part of Predictive Intelligence. Yeah. Is that a separate plugin that they'll need, is be able to select Predictive Intelligence?
Yeah, so that's a separate plugin. So if you install that, you'll have the issue, the intelligent issue capabilities that I showed.
And then what she's showing here with PPM, it is available in October. In order to get those PPM tabs in here, you're going to need to have PPM.
Correct.
And then there's also some of the capabilities that she's talking about that's under a new application called Advanced Audit Planning. These are all part of our IRM Standard and IRM Pro packages. So you all don't need to buy additional packages, correct?
Yeah, so Advanced Audit Planning is under IRM Pro and Enterprise. It's not in the standard.
Right.
But for example, issue triage or the evidence requests that I'll show in short are available as part of IRM standard as well.
So the main point here, folks, is that you don't need to buy anything extra. These new features will be available, most of them, if you've got Pro and Enterprise. There are a few that are also available in Standard. The only thing that is separate here is the integration with PPM, and everything that you're looking at is live now on the store.
Correct.
One more question, a couple more questions actually. Would you recommend creating the engagements, then the plan, or creating the plan, then the engagements?
So you could do it either ways. The main goal of plan is to plan so for example, if you're planning multiple engagements in a year and you want to include them, all of them under a plan, that's what the plan is helping you. So logically speaking, you could have engagements created separately and associate them with existing plan or a new plan, or you create a plan and then create new engagements. It works either ways.
So in the auditable unit, can the risk be calculated based on related objects and their existing issues?
That's a great question. And yes, with the help of advanced risk assessment, you can actually configure different types of factors. What I showed was a simple example of likelihood and simple control effectiveness calculation, but you can add more factors which are more automated, which can look at existing control, what their status is, if there are any issues, and then will calculate the risk score accordingly. So yes, absolutely possible.
And then a couple of cleanup issues, generic issues. When we talk about GRC or IRM, we really use the terms interchangeably. So they mean the same thing. And I believe the documentation for all of these things that you've been talking about is already available
Correct.
on the documentation, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So I
That's so
am
far. That's the questions.
All right, so I am going to try to rush through the remaining features quickly so that I can at least give you overview, but let me know if you want to dive into anything afterwards. Uh, we can totally do that. So once you have the plan in place, you could then manage your audit engagements as projects. So you can actually perform, you can add different, we've done some enhancement on audit engagement dates as well, based on a lot of feedback we got from customers. You can track the engagement project and make sure that it's on time, using track milestones capability, and then you can perform more detailed risk and resource and cost management. So here I have an example of NIST cybersecurity audit engagement with all the details populated here. You can see the schedule, which has been updated. The dates have been updated. Now we have more fixed date for engagement planning and plan start and end date, which used to move a lot based on the audit tasks. So we've separated them out. We've created a bunch of fieldwork dates and engagement dates. So you can have the static plan start and end date based on the state that you choose here, engagement start and engagement ends, will populate the actual start and end date automatically, or you can choose that manually as well. And the fieldwork dates really are the roll up from all your audit tasks. So it shows all the dates, and the dates will move based on the audit task dates. So these are two sets of dates that you see here. In addition to that, we've added the advanced planning capability in this case. So when it's in validate and plan state, you can see that the project is created for this particular engagement automatically if you've chosen the advanced planning capability. And with that, you can see a new tab showing up for resource planning and cost planning. And in future, you'll also see time card tab as well in March. You can see the related plan details here and the start and end date of the plan as well. If you want to do the detailed planning or resource and cost planning, you can do that using these tabs here. Now you can also do the basic planning. If you don't want to add resource and cost plan, you can still add these values manually. So you can, based on the budget that is provided to you, you can have the plan expenses, actual effort, plan budgeted resources, etc. I'm going to just show you an example of a more detailed resource plan here. If you click on manage button, it's going to open up the resource planner, which is again coming from ITBM PPM product, and you can allocate different resources here. Let's take an example of, actually, I'm just going to skip this over because we don't have much time, but you can add more resources here, allocate the hours for the resources, which will create an entry in the engagement. And you can click on add auditors, which is going to look at allocated auditors from this resource plan and add it back onto the engagement here. So Kylie Ferry is added here as auditors. And then based on the resources that you've added or the resource plan that you've created, it also creates the cost plan for you. So it's created cost plan for the Kerry, and you can create additional cost plans as well. So I'm just going to show you example of cost plan and how it looks like. So here I have the cost plan created for travel budget, and for Kylie, you can add more cost plans here, which will reflect back on your engagement. And the rollouts from all of them, in this case, $5,200 is rolled up here. The number of hours from this resource plan has been rolled up here. And all of that roll up will also be displayed on the plan level as well. So you can see all the resources and costs which have been planned in different engagements rolled up at the plan level as well. So this is more detailed planning capability. We had the milestones here, so you can actually see different milestones that you can create here. You can have more manual milestone where you can select the completion date whenever the milestone completed based on the due date, and the milestone will be close completed. If you want to automate the milestone, you can actually create a more of an automated fieldwork type of milestone where you can associate audit tasks or control tests with the milestone and select this auto-complete and close. So whenever the control tests are auto-completed closed, the milestone will be completed and closed as well automatically. So those are some of the enhancement on the milestone front. Then we have a couple of the things related to evidence collection and the observation. I know we have only 1 minute left, but just want to highlight the evidence collection workflow here, which is a very detailed workflow where we are providing capability for requester to request evidence for pretty much anything, for controls, for entities, for issues, policies, authority documents, citation, pretty much anything that you can think of. And then you can actually, just going to go to that quickly so you get to understand the workflow. And then once, based on what you requested from the end user, they have a nice service portal page to see the evidence that they need to attach. So they can actually go to that service portal and attach the evidence as end user. And once the evidence is attached, it is then sent back to the requester. Now there are proper restrictions and rules in place so that only the ones who requested for the evidence would be able to see it. And then this evidence then show up on your engagement. It shows up on your control that you requested evidence for. So this is a central repository of evidence that you can be reused and looked at from different objects. So which helps you reduce your time in managing and requesting evidence again and again. So that is the evidence that you can see. Just wanted to show you how. Okay, I'm just going to skip that again. And then lastly, we have observations. So similar to how we were looking at triage process, there is a way for you to also manage and create observations for your audit. And the observations will go through its own workflow as well. So you can see there's an observation that you can draft, we can send it out for peer review or review from your manager. Eventually when you decide that or when you choose that observation result as confirmed as new issue, which means you identified that observation is an actual reportable issue, you can send it out to issue owner or respondent or auditee so that they can work on action plan. And once they confirm the action plan and finalize the observation, it gets converted into an actual reportable issue. So it's a very similar process for when it comes to issue triage. It's kind of observation for, especially for audit, which goes through the whole review cycle and response cycle and working on the action plan. And then it gets converted over into the issue. So this is an example of observation that got converted into issue. So if I look at the issue, you can actually see the observations related list, and all the information that was populated on the observation is copied over to the issue along with the action plan. And then you can basically close out the observation. So observations typically are created from your different audit tasks, control test, interviews, walkthrough activities. And as a result of observation, you can create an issue or track it as recommendation or best practice. So yeah, I'm 2 minutes over, so I'm going to stop here and ask if anyone has any questions.
Absolutely, I was on mute again. Absolutely, this has been fantastic. I'm going to snag the screen from you, unless there's a few more things you want to talk about here.
No.
No? Okay, we've got a couple questions. So I do want to ask to get those questions answered while I put up the screen about what you guys can do tomorrow and some links that are hopefully of interest to you. We've got application pages where you can go find out more about audit and policy and compliance. But does the PPM activation, this is back on the audit with PPM, affect only a record level or the entire or all the records?
So the integration with PPM, we have the capability for you to do it at the each record level. So if you, for example, if you selected at a plan level that all the engagements under the plan should be planned as based on advanced audit capabilities, then every time an engagement is created out of that plan or associated with that plan, all of the engagements will have the associated project. But if you choose, if you don't want to do that, you can actually choose to have individual engagement can be planned in more detailed way by integrating with PPM. So we have the control there, like how you want to access or integrate with PPM. So it's per record or engagement basis. You can control whether it should be integrated with PPM or not.
Perfect. And then the last question is, and this is more of a futures, have you had any discussions about integrating audit management with vendor risk, where audit plans or inspection plans or something similar to that could be sent to vendors for them to perform these activities and submit evidence back? I know as part of our vendor risk management application, we do have questionnaires where we can ask for that information, but is there any plans to somehow connect audit with vendor risk?
That's a very interesting question. We don't have planners yet. I would definitely like to understand the use case here. As Teresa mentioned, we definitely have capability already to send out issues or individual requests for evidence today, but it's not managed as an engagement as such. But maybe we can have more detailed discussion around this, or like to understand the use case to comment more. But we have not heard it before, so we don't have plan as yet to integrate with audit, but would definitely love to understand the details.
Awesome. And with that, we are actually done. Thank you so very, very much, Anushree. Thank you for everybody who has been on the phone with us. And we hope you have a wonderful day and you found